Hi, it's been a few days. This is a new instructions recording, so let's try it. Hello, let's get started on a yin yoga practice. I first want to say that all of the poses and stretches that are being suggested are simply suggestions. Do whatever is comfortable for you. You are free to modify as you go. Let's go ahead and get started. We will start in Savasana, setting our intention for the practice. Focus on what you want to bring into your life and what you're needing to let go of. How can you create the space for this change and shift? Continue in Savasana while you continue to set your intentions. Then you can rotate your neck slowly to the right, looking over your right shoulder. Slowly back to neutral. And then slowly to the left side, looking over your left shoulder. And then back to neutral. Now, with your hands over your head, stretch out long. And hug both of your knees. And then continue holding your right knee while you lower your left leg back down to the mat. You have an option here to engage your foot. You can flex and point your toes and heel on your right foot. Continue hugging that knee tight, paying close attention to any micro movements and the compression in your right hip socket. Then you're going to reach for your strap, get the canvas to go across the ball of your right foot, and then you can straighten out that right leg. Pull that leg just a little closer to your chest. Hold it there for a moment. Then swing that right leg out to the right side. You can continue to have your foot in the strap, holding onto that strap, or you can do it without the strap if you'd like. We're going to hold this half straddle for about a half a minute. It's a big stretch, just breathe into it. Don't overdo it. If you need to back off a little bit from your extension, feel free to do so at any point in time. Then set your strap aside, lower your right leg back down to the mat, switching out your legs, hug in your left knee, and again you can engage your foot and ankle by flexing and pointing your toes, rotating your foot. Continue hugging that left knee tightly. And again, you can pay attention to the micro movements and focus on the compression in your left hip socket. And then pick up your canvas strap again and place that across the ball of your left foot, straightening out that left leg. Hold it there. The knee can be bent slightly if you wish, or straight. Pull the leg just a little closer to your chest. Before then swinging that left leg out to the left side, again with or without the strap for the half straddle on the other side. Big stretch. You can lower that leg back down to the mat. Set the strap aside. Both legs are out straight. Stretching out long again, arms are overhead. And then hug both of your knees once again tightly. Continue holding your right knee while lowering the left leg back down to the mat. And then you're going to place that right knee onto the left side of your body for the supine twist. Arms are in a T. You can use a bolster or a pillow or a block if you'd like to support your knee for the supine twist. We're going to stay in the supine twist, keeping your drishti out over your right fingertips. You have an option here to use your left hand to apply light pressure to your right knee if you wish. Slowly you can turn your head to look to the left, to the opposite direction for 2 full breaths. And then slowly turn the head and neck back to the right. And then back to neutral. Lower that right leg back down to the floor, hugging in both of your knees together. Head and neck towards the knees, rocking and rolling. And then lowering your right leg back down to the floor while continuing to hug in your left knee. And then we're going to bring that left knee across your body to place it on the floor of the right side. The supine twist to the other side. Again, you can use the bolster, the pillow, or block if you wish to put your left knee on. Arms are in a T. Keeping your gaze out over your left fingertips. Again, you have the option to use your right hand to apply a light pressure to the left knee. Slowly turn your head to the right, the opposite direction. Hold it there for 2 breaths. And then back to neutral, to the left, and then neutral again. Lowering the left leg back down to the floor. You can come out of this twist, stretching both arms long overhead again. And then hug both knees again, stretching your neck. You can engage your feet, flexing your heels, pointing your toes, rotating your ankles. You can do this individually or synchronized. And next we're going to get into the reclined butterfly. You may want a bolster under your knees or blocks under your thighs. Keep your arms down by your sides. Palms are facing up, surrendering to your practice. Then glide your arms on the floor, reaching out wide to the sides and then up overhead in a half moon and into steeple grip. Hold that steeple grip. Then glide your arms back down to your sides like butterfly wings. Hands or palms are facing up again. And then slowly stretching your arms out wide once again, bringing your arms back up overhead, simply touching the fingertips to each other in prayer hands, or you're welcome to do steeple grip or any position that's comfortable with your hands and arms. If you want to branch them out, or goalposts. Keeping your arms outstretched, maybe overhead, maybe out to the sides in a T. Stay in this butterfly pose for a few more breaths. If you have any props, this is where you'll want to remove them. We're going to prepare to do a reclined tree pose on each side. First, straighten out your left leg and place the sole of your right foot against the inseam of your left thigh as high as you can. Prayer hands are overhead, steeple grip, goalposts. Then we're simply going to switch sides by straightening out the right leg and placing the sole of the left foot high to the inseam of your right thigh. Arms are still stretched out or overhead. You can branch them out like a tree, goalpost, yogi's choice. Then you can bring that knee back to neutral, reaching for your strap. Get the canvas across the balls of both feet for legs up the wall. Knees can be straight or slightly bent. You can pedal your knees, you can rock, you can wiggle, anything you wish. Going to continue to keep the left foot in that strap with the canvas on the ball of the foot, removing your right foot and placing your right foot across your left thigh for reclined pigeon. If you want, you can bend that left knee slightly, or you can keep it straightened, or some of each, straightening and bending. Then simply switch out your feet, get your right foot back into that strap, and then remove your left foot, placing the left foot across your right thigh for the reclining pigeon on the other side. Again, option to bend the knee, straighten it, or some of each. Then coming out of this pose, you can set your strap down by the side, laying down flat. We're going to do 3 honey bumblebee breaths. Getting your 3 fingers on your eyes, eyes closed of course, thumbs on your ear cartilage, pressing your thumbs down on that tragus to close off the airway into your ears. Breathe in through your nose and out through your nose. We're going to hum low pitch 3 times as we breathe out. And after that, we'll get ready to turn ourselves over. Slowly turn to the left or to the right. Give yourself time to flip yourself over lightly. Laying prone on your front side. You can rest your forehead on your hands stacked on top of each other. We'll be preparing for another supine twist. Come up onto your elbows and forearms into Sphinx. Then hike up your right knee out to the right side. Your right arm goes out in front of you, and with your left arm you can thread the needle, making any adjustments for this pose that you need as you get into the supine twist once again. You can try to lay both of your arms flat on the ground, both shoulders flat on your mat, or you can bend your elbows, keeping your right hand on your right hip. At any point, you can use your left hand to apply that slight pressure to your right knee. Again, you might want to be using the bolster or block or pillow to support that knee. Keep your gaze out over your right shoulder, your right fingertips. And focus on the difference from the last supine twist, having gotten into the position from an entirely different series of prompts and directives. Notice the similarities, notice the differences. When you're ready to come out of this twist, back onto your front side, you can rest your forehead on your hands, laying them lightly stacked on top of one another again. And then you can lift up your feet, bending your knees and making a windshield wiper movement with the feet and calves. Then you can slow that down, lower the feet back down to the mat before coming back up onto your forearms and elbows and hands again into that Sphinx pose. Hiking your left knee up to the left side. And then with your left arm out in front of you, thread your right arm through the needle. And as you shift into the supine twist, again, you might want a bolster or a pillow or a block to support your knee. Same as on the other side, you can adjust yourself so that both shoulders and arms are flat on the ground in a T, or you can simply keep your left hand on your left hip. Once again, apply light pressure with the right hand, if you wish, on the left knee, keeping your drishti over your left shoulder. Enjoy the supine twist once again. Again, noticing any similarities and differences from the last supine twist, and even just from the other side. As you come out of this twist, rest your head on your hands, again, stacking them lightly on top of one another. This time in an exaggerated motion, really windshield wiper those feet and knees, loosening the hips out as well. And then slow that down, lower your feet back down to the ground. And we're gonna send the hips back towards the feet, getting into a wide-kneed child's pose. You can use a block or a bolster or a pillow to rest your head or torso on. Going to remain in this wide-kneed child pose, just relaxing the torso. Ragdoll that upper portion of your body. Allow gravity to do the work for you. And then as you finish, you can remove the prop if you have one, coming up into a tabletop form, and then adjusting yourself back into Sphinx. On your elbows and forearms again, this time spread your hands and your fingers out as wide as you can. holding that Sphinx pose tall. And then turn your right forearm to be parallel with the top of your mat. Reach back with your left hand for your left foot. Hold this half bow pose for several breaths. If you feel comfortable taking a big challenge, you can attempt the full bow with both sides, getting each of your feet into each of your hands. The left foot in the left hand, the right foot in the right hand. In order to get into that pose, feel free to use the strap if you'd like to. If you have someone nearby that can spot you, you can ask for a hand. Whatever it is that you need to do to support yourself in this challenge, exploring this full bow shape. If you can get into that pose, and if not, don't sweat it, just do whatever is comfortable for your body. This is the most challenging part of this whole routine. If you're in that full bow shape, you can use your breath and your diaphragm to rock, or you can remain still, or some of each. And then as you let go, you can rest your head on your hands again, one hand on top of the other, windshield wipering the feet, really loosening out those hips again. And then slowing that down, lower your feet back down to the floor. And then the same thing on the other side, coming back into Sphinx, stretching your hands and fingers out as wide as you can, sitting tall before then turning your left forearm to be parallel with the top of your mat, reaching with your right hand back to hold your right foot, engaging in the half bow for several breaths. Just like on the other side, as you wish, you can attempt the full bow if it's in your practice. You can use the strap, have someone spot you, whatever it is that you need if you want to get yourself into full bow. I usually just let go of one foot, sometimes push with the other toes to get the other foot back into the other hand. Just whatever is necessary, but definitely not overextending yourself. This is, like I said, the hardest challenge of this whole routine. If you're in the full bow, again, you can use your breath and your diaphragm to rock yourself back and forth, or you can try to remain still, or a little bit of both. And then when letting go, lower both feet back down to the mat. And again, send your hips back to be sitting on your feet in child's pose. Just a regular child's pose, this time with your knees touching each other. While sitting on your feet, you can rest your head on a block. We're going to be here for a spell. After taking several breaths, you can walk your fingers or slide your hands to the right edge of the mat, reaching for the upper right hand corner of the mat, feeling the stretch across your lower left ribs. rocking or sliding your fingers and hands back to neutral. Slide or walk hands and fingers to the left edge of the mat, reaching towards the upper left corner. Focus on the extension in the lower right ribs and hold that for a couple of breaths before gliding or sliding or walking your hands and fingers back to neutral. Deep breath.
I'm recording, hon. I fed him.
Then we're going to push our torso up with our hands on the mat, coming into the hero's pose. We're going to pause here for a few moments, maybe placing your hands on your thighs, just remaining still, noting the challenge of this seemingly simple pose. You might want to do hands over heart, prayer hands over heart, raising your hands up high, prayer hands, bringing them back down, and then palms on your thighs again. And then we're going to come up onto the knees with a widened stance, and then reaching your arms back behind you. You might want to place the blocks or other props behind you by your feet to be ready for the camel pose after we first do this stretch, just interlacing your hands, binding them behind your back, and trying to lift your arms up, stretching the biceps, the triceps. You can be looking up while stretching that or looking straight ahead. You can also lean back. And then coming out of this position, we'll get ready for camel pose. You can lean one arm back to a block, then the other hand back to the other block on each side of your feet. You could have the bolster resting across your ankles and just reaching back for the bolster with both of your hands, arching your torso. So you might be holding the blocks, you might be touching them to the floor. This is also a very challenging pose, so whatever you're comfortable with, the goal here is just to open your chest. It's what you call a chest opener. Once you've explored that challenging chest opener, coming back out of the shape, you can come up and sit on the floor, actually like a child's pose once again, and then you're going to swing your legs around, not child's, I'm sorry, hero's pose. I knew I was sitting down. And then swing your legs around in front of you for the staff pose. You can either stack some pillows and props on top of your legs to rest your torso on, or if you'd rather, you could use a strap on the balls of your feet for the same type of effect. You're going to ragdoll your upper body over your legs. You can be resting your torso on the props or just trusting gravity if you're just using the strap on the balls of your feet. We're going to stay in this pose for an extended period, really lean into it. Ragdoll your torso. Allow gravity to do the work for you. Envision tilting your hips towards your feet, towards your toes, while you continuously focus on easing your weight forward, trusting that gravitational pull to completely support you and give you exactly what it is you need, keeping you safe, keeping you comfortable. Breathe into it. And then when we're done with that, you can remove the props coming up. Keep your left leg stretched out long. Bring your right foot up high to the inseam of your left thigh. Reaching for your left toes in a side bend. Hold for several slow breaths. Maybe reaching your right hand over that left foot and hand. Again, let gravity do the work for you. Then we're going to come up, getting the legs both stretched out into the wide straddle stretch, leaning forward for a couple of deep breaths. And then switching it out to the other side, place your left foot high to the inner right thigh. Right leg is extended out straight. Reach for the right toes with the right hand in a side bend. And then with the left hand, you can reach over the right hand and foot. And hold that. Again, trusting gravity, allowing gravity to do this work for you. Then coming up into neutral, you can stretch both legs out wide again for that wide straddle stretch. Leaning forward, reaching out in front of you. You might want to use a couple of blocks to rest your forearms on or rest your forehead. We're going to hold this pose for a few intentional breaths. And then as we come up, get into a seated butterfly, holding the soles of your feet together with both hands, pushing the knees towards the floor. Bend your neck and head towards your feet before rising your head slowly up to neutral, like there's a string pulling from the top of your head. Twist the head and neck slowly to the right, and then neutral, then to the left, and back to neutral. You can stretch your neck down, rolling it out gently in small movements at first. You can turn your head back and forth like you're indicating a no. You can stretch your neck diagonal, whatever is comfortable for you. You might want to nod your head up and down as if acknowledging a yes. If you're comfortable with it and it's in your practice, you can do a full circle rotation, one direction, then a full circle rotation the other direction, and then bringing your head back to neutral before shifting into easy pose. Reaching your left hand down to the mat, you can touch the ground with your left fingertips as you drop your right ear to your right shoulder. You have an option here to use a light pressure with your right fingertips on the top of your head. And then if you want, you can move the head slightly back and forth to gently massage neck muscles with that movement. And then the head and neck can come back to neutral, reaching towards the ground with your right fingertips, dropping your left ear to your left shoulder. Again with that slight pressure with the left fingertips if you like. And again, moving the head and neck slightly back and forth to massage out your neck muscles if you want. And then back to neutral. Again, turn your head slowly from side to side, first to the right. And then hold that there momentarily. Back to neutral. And then to the left, pausing before coming back to neutral. And now we're going to bring ourselves into that wide straddle again, leaning forward. You'll probably want to use the blocks in front of you again to rest your forehead on, or your forearms, or both. We're going to remain in this stretch for an extended period. Really lean into it. If you have your forehead supported by some blocks, you might just want to focus the weight of your forehead onto those blocks. And again, trusting gravity, allowing gravity to do its magic and help you with this posture, with this stretch. And then you might want to pick up a block in each of your hands and reaching over your left foot, place the blocks on either side of the foot. You can rest your hands on each of the blocks, or you can reach for your toes. We're going to hold this for a couple of breaths. Again, allow the gravity to do the work for you. And then pick up each of those blocks, placing them on either side of your right foot and reaching for your right toes, or resting your hands on each of the blocks. Let gravity do a lot of this work for you. Just relax into it. And then you can set the blocks aside, coming back to neutral. Our next pose will be bending our right knee over our left leg extended out straight, twisting to the right, gazing to the back of the room. You can have your right hand or fist on the floor behind you, that arm supporting the weight of your torso. Using your left elbow to leverage on the right knee. Keep your gaze to the back of the room. Continuing to leverage that left elbow on the right knee. Slowly begin to turn your gaze to the front of the room. And again, slowly returning your gaze to the back of the room, all while leveraging that left elbow on the right. And then as we come out of this twist, we're simply going to switch sides, bending the left knee over the right leg extending out straight, left hand or fist on the floor behind you, gazing over your left shoulder towards the back of the room, leveraging your right arm or elbow against the left knee. Slowly turning the gaze over the right shoulder towards the front of the room. Continuing to leverage that elbow on the knee. Slowly returning your drishti to the back of the room, over your left shoulder again. Then back to neutral. Coming out of this, we will again hold the soles of your feet together, getting into the butterfly, pressing the knees towards the floor, bending the head and neck forward, and then keeping your posture as if a string were being pulled from above, from the top of your head. Gently then turn your head and neck to the right, back to neutral, to the left, and then back to neutral. And now we're going to get into cow face and then Lord of the Fish, like Lord of the Flies. Going to bend the right knee over the left knee that is also bent, stacking them on top of one another for cow face. Holding each of your feet in each of your hands. You can sit tall. You can use your thumbs to press into the arches of your feet, giving yourself a nice little gentle foot massage. Then we're going to twist to the right. The right arm is back behind you. Hand or fist on the floor, left elbow leveraging against the right knee, looking to the back of the room. Deep breath. Slowly turn your head to the opposite side, looking towards the front of the room. And then slowly back again, looking out towards the back of the room. Continuing to leverage that elbow on the knee. Then coming out of this pose, we're going to straighten both legs out in front of us for staff pose. reaching your arms out to the sides and then arching them overhead in half moon up to the sky. You can interlace your fingers and then turn your hands outward, reaching up tall. So your fingers are interlaced and in a bind, stretching out those wrists and forearms. And then you can bend forward, reaching for your toes. Feel that in your back. And then come up, preparing to switch legs for cow face on the other side. Your left knee over your right bent knee. Holding both feet in each of your hands. Maybe pressing the thumbs into the soles of the feet. Sitting up tall. Then we're going to twist to the left. The right arm is leveraged against the left knee, the right elbow looking out over the left shoulder to the back of the room. Hand or fist is on the mat. And slowly turn the gaze to the other side of the room, looking over the right shoulder. Slowly returning the gaze to be looking over the left shoulder towards the back of the room again. And then head back to neutral. Coming out of this twist, we'll return to staff pose. Legs out straight, reaching arms out wide into a half moon, touching hands lightly overhead, maybe steeple grip, reaching for the sky, sitting tall. Before then, bending forward and reaching for your toes. And as you come up to neutral, transition into easy pose, reaching your arms out wide to the sides and then up for the half moon arch, touching hands together for prayer hands before getting into cactus arms, goalpost arms, preparing for eagle arms. The right elbow over the left elbow, forearms together, palms of your hands together, pushing elbows up slightly, bending the head and neck down slightly. Feel that release through your shoulders and neck and upper back. You can stay in this pose, or you have an option to slowly look up as high as possible, moving your hands and arms and head all as one. Leaning your head slightly back while pushing those eagle arms towards the sky until they unpretzel, and then reach them back out wide, touching the ground, and then reaching them up, arching them into another half moon, touching hands together overhead, and then back to cactus, and again, eagle arms, this time with the left elbow over the right elbow, pushing those elbows up slightly and bending the head and neck down slightly. Hold that there. And enjoy that stretch through the neck, shoulders. You again have the option to remain in this stretch, or if you'd like to slowly look up as high as possible, moving your arms, your head, and your neck all as one, leaning your head slightly back while you're pushing your elbows and arms up towards the ceiling as unpretzel them, stretching the arms out wide to the sides, and then reaching them out, touching the earth, and then bringing them overhead into another half moon arch to steeple grip, sitting tall. And then we're just going to do a simple twist to first the right. As you turn to the right, your left hand will go up onto your right knee, your right arm will go behind you as you're lowering your arms down. And then lifting your right arm over, crossing the left arm, reaching for that left knee with the right hand, and then turning the left hand goes onto the floor behind you. And then getting your left arm over the right, crisscross applesauce, and just lightly hugging yourself in this basket shape. Before then preparing to do a boat pose, I like to wrap my forearms under the backs of my legs and get into a very nicely formed boat pose, hugging in my legs with my arms, and then letting go of that and just with my arms straight out, parallel to the floor. A boat pose like that, it helps build the abdominal muscles. And if you like, you can do a little scissoring of your legs and feet to get a little more abdominal work. And then we're going to lay down on our backs, stretching out long before then planting both feet on the floor, knees bent. You may want to hold a block or a pillow in between your knees, possibly another one on each side of you to allow your knees to fall onto. First, just allow your knees to fall to the right with your arms out in a T. Just a lovely, simple stretch. This is a really good one just to relax into. Focusing your gaze over your left fingertips. And then slowly rotate your head to look out the other direction to your right. And then back again slowly to be looking over your left shoulder. Before then allowing your head and neck to go back to neutral. Bring the knees up to neutral. Allow those knees to fall to the left, still with the arms in a T, gazing out over your right fingertips. slowly turn your head to be looking over your left shoulder, setting your gaze over the left fingertips, and then slowly turning back to your right, and then back to neutral, knees back to neutral. Remove any props and hug both knees tightly, bending the head and the neck towards those knees. You can engage your feet, flexing your heels, pointing your toes, rotating your ankles. Then we're going to plant both feet firmly on the mat. Again, putting your right knee over your left knee. Allow your legs to fall to the right. Your arms are in a T. You're gazing out over your left fingertips. Holding that for several breaths. This is the grand finale, my favorite twist of all. Bring the knees to neutral, hugging them in to your chest, rocking and rolling, before firmly planting both feet back onto the mat, again for the other side. The left knee bends over the right knee, and then allowing the legs to fall to your left, again with your arms in a T and your gaze out over your right fingertips. Enjoy this final twist. When you're done, you can release your knees back up to neutral. Again, hugging in both of those knees. One more time, rocking and rolling if you'd like to. Here you have an option for the happy baby. You can rock the baby. You can alternate straightening and bending each knee. Whatever movement you like here. And then as you come out of that form, you can lay flat. Then reach for a block for supported bridge. You're going to plant both feet firmly on the mat, lifting the hips, slide the block under the small of your back on its lowest level. We're going to remain in supported bridge for a full minute, just relaxing into that. Arms can be by your side, palms can be facing up. You can have your arms in a T. Then, while still on the block, you can reach for your strap, or you can do it without the strap. But if you want to use your canvas strap, get that canvas across the balls of both of your feet, and we'll get into legs up the wall for another minute. You can Pedal out your legs and legs up the wall, bending one knee slightly and then the other if you wish. Feel free to flex your heels or point your toes, rotating your ankles. When you're done, you can set the strap to the side, remove the block, and if it's in your practice, we have an option here for a shoulder stand and the plow. You can take a minute or two to do these, or yogi's choice, any stretching you would like to do to feel complete here at the end of your practice. Or you can feel free to get into the Savasana early and we'll meet you there. Should you be in your shoulder stand, you may want to point your toes tall. You might want to rotate your ankles, flex your heels. You might want to scissor your legs long, or any movements that you're inclined to do before transitioning into the plow. I like to first lower my toes as close to the floor above my head as I can with my arms down by my sides. And then I like to slowly reach up towards my toes, then maybe holding my ankles before coming out of that plow, trying as slow and controlled as possible with your chin tucked, one vertebrae at a time. If you can, roll yourself down onto the mat to relax into Savasana. Once you're in your Savasana, remember the intentions that you set at the beginning of this practice. Thank yourself for taking the time out of your day to focus on you and your well-being. When you are ready, you can roll to one side or the other and rest there before you push yourself up. Or if it's comfortable for you and you'd rather, you can push yourself straight up with your elbows behind you, slightly tucking your chin in, and then rocking yourself, straightening your arms out behind you. Then transition into easy pose, or if you're on your side, here's where you would be pushing yourself up slowly to transition into that easy pose. You're going to place your left hand on your right knee, right hand on the floor behind you, lightly twisting to the right, crossing your right arm over your left arm, right hand onto your left knee, and then reaching with your left hand behind you to the left for another light twist. Before then crossing your left arm over the right, first lightly hugging yourself into this basket shape. And then you're going to hug yourself in as tightly as you can, constricting yourself to make yourself as small as you can into a tiny seed or ball, hugging yourself in before releasing, and then stretching your arms out wide to the sides into a star shape, placing each hand on each of your knees, touching the pointer fingers to the thumbs, breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. We will chant Om 3 times as we breathe out in a low pitch. And then stretching those arms out wide again for another half moon arch. Bring the arms up overhead to prayer hands. And then to acknowledge your insight and wisdom, touch your thumbs or knuckles to your third eye on the way to hands to heart. And then reach those arms out wide once more for one last half moon arch. Prayer hands overhead. Slowly lowering the prayer hands over heart before then bowing to close and seal the practice. And so it is. I thank you for this practice today. Be well and enjoy a blessed rest of your day. Be sure to drink your water. Thank you for this practice today and every day. Love and light. See you on the next one.